Hey everybody, my next guest is a staple of the Raleigh, North Carolina scene. He is an actor, broadcaster, podcaster, and owner of the legendary Rialto Theater. Here he is, folks, the one and only Hayes Permar. Hayes, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yo, what's going on, Big Don? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me.
Dude, it's so awesome to catch up with you, man, because we go back 2015, man. So it's like a little over 10 years already. But maybe about 11 years now, because it was right when baseball season started.
Sure.
Worked for the Carolina Mudcats. You came on as our PA announcer.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Actually, former Mudcat Joey Weimer is tearing it up right now in the big leagues. So go check him out. And then the Brewers have been a good program. It's been cool seeing guys that, I was the first guy to announce their name professionally, and now they're still doing things. A couple pitchers.
When I was with the Mudcats, I was there for 2 seasons, like a season and a half, and it was right when they got together with the Braves.
That's right.
They were a Braves affiliate, which a lot of people from North Carolina grew up Braves fans. So it was a kind of a big thing to have that affiliation. Then after I left, the Brewers kind of took over. And like you said,
we had Dansby Swanson that year with the Braves. He started with the Mudcats, and he's obviously still a major league staple, maybe even an all-star. But yeah, really good player. So it is cool. I mean, obviously that's sort of one of the beauties of the minor leagues is like seeing those guys before they become the dude, So
yeah,
it's crazy. You were only there a year and a half.
Yeah, I was there for just that one season, the first season, and then half of the second season, like the next season over, because that's when I got moved. I got a job with the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. I remember that. It just must be maybe it's a baseball thing where like you're doing it every day, or sometimes like now they've regulated the schedule more, where like you could never have 14 games in a row because they take every Monday off in the minor leagues.
Oh, okay.
But like, you're doing the same job 13 days in a row. So just if you'd asked me, I would have been like, I did probably 3 or 4 seasons with Don. Like, so we spent a lot of hours together, even if it was only a season and a half. So that's
the beauty of that, man, is that we're kind of all in the trenches together. Like we were sitting in the same room, like right next to each other pretty much. And when you spend that much time together, like you said, it could be a 10-game homestand and you're there for hours together every single day. And you kind of bond like that. And those are some of the best times of my career, believe it or not. And, and you guys, the bond that we had, going in and game out, we saw the best and worst of each other. And, most of the best, I think. Yeah. And it was just a blast, man. We had a freaking great time, man.
It's another thing about minor league baseball is they will, and this isn't a knock on anybody at the Mudcats, and it's single A baseball. It is what it is. But they love if somebody comes in and does something well, they'll like repeat that for as long as they can, right? Like and then the next person comes in and is like, oh, I just need to do. So I'll guarantee you, there's like videos you made. Just like I'll have people go to games. Now this year it's going to have to change because they're I'm sure we'll talk about that, But for years, people would be like, wait, are you still working? And I'm like, no, they must just use my pre-recorded script or whatever. They just still use like, welcome to the Carolina base. We don't record that again. We got that. So I guarantee you some videos you made 11 years ago, we're still going the last day that the park was open. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Yeah, that was a good time because we kind of came in and they just got that video board that they had at the time. It was like the biggest video board in the minor leagues, and they wanted us to kind of revamp the whole show. And I remember talking to Joe Creamer, who was the boss, the GM. And I said, oh, yeah, we want to make sure that this is a really great show. He's like, it ain't a damn show. It's a baseball game, man.
Always, there's the baseball heads and then the entertainment guys, right?
Yeah, so that was the difference. But
I would say go ask the sales department who they get more. Who helps sell more tickets, the baseball or the entertainment side?
Exactly, man.
The other cool thing is, like you have to develop, and I know I feel like I'm somebody who like I'm proud of the fact that I act playful in life. Like I think it's a Thomas Jefferson quote, although in today's world you never know if you read it off the internet. It's somebody else. It was like you don't get old. You don't stop playing because you get old. you get old because you stop playing.
Exactly.
So I would like to think that now, like if I were in your booth with the Falcons, it would be different, right? This is NFL football, and it's like, and every play matters, and there's 16 games, and everything's got to be like to the minute, right?
Right. Yeah.
At a single A baseball game, I'm not saying that we aren't professional or doing it, but like the reality is, you got kids out of high school that are working jobs. If you're going to get mad about somebody trying hard and making an accident on the camera, it's not worth it. This is not the Atlanta Falcons, you know what I mean?
Right.
I like to think that I have the ability to adapt, to say like, I'm always. Even for the Falcons, I'd be like, we're going to try and have fun, but the fun's going to have to be in the prep or before and after. And like game time, there's no jokes. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Baseball, especially single A minor league baseball that happens every day, allows for a little bit more, play, like both literally in between pitch or games that have hour and a half like rain delays. And if you aren't having fun, then it's miserable, and you're probably not doing a good job. You know what I mean? Like I think the fun permeates into to what you do. And I've also been somebody who says, I was just going to say something. When I used to coach like middle school, I would always say, I'm never going to like make somebody a professional cross-country runner by being their sixth grade, coach.
Right.
What I do have the ability to do is make somebody quit or hate running because I make it a bad experience, right? So like if you're going to be a great runner, some other coach is going to teach you training methods and splits that you need to do. I can teach you a couple things, but also I'm most going to try and make you like this. And I feel like that's part of the goal of minor league baseball is to get, you're training that first row of people who will become the professional sports. I mean, look at like Evan Moesta is a perfect example.
Yeah. Shout out.
You helped train and I worked side by side with him and then watch him rise up. And, he worked for, Minnesota Timberwolves and all the teams that share that arena. Now he's he's just took a job with the head guy down in Fayetteville. So yeah, I think part of me was I'm not going to make anybody a professional, director, but I could make somebody be like, man, this job stinks. Like they're all boring and they all hate their job. They don't have any fun. You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's a great point.
You learn as you go up. Like, I want you to enjoy this and be like, I'm in. This seems like a work environment I want to be a part of. So,
dude, that is such a great point because it is about the fun and especially and to like you said, to hook them in. So like you're talking about your job as like a sixth grade track coach, your job is to hook the kid in, make him fall in love with the sport. And if you make it fun and you make it like exciting and all that kind of stuff, he's going to keep moving on. It's the same thing with the minor league baseball. Is like a lot of times families just want to get a day out, enjoy the game. They really don't care who wins or who loses at the end of the day. And then as long as they leave having a blast and having a great time, that's all that matters. And that's where the entertainment side of it is important. And you, as the PA announcer, you brought a lot of levity. You were fun. You were fun on the mic. You were every show, every game, we would have you out there with the net trying to catch a T-shirt from Muddy the Mudcat.
Let's see if we can get the second one tonight.
Let's go, Muddy.
Here we go, Muddy.
We got it tonight.
Yeah.
Mascot. So it was a blast, dude. You delivered big time, man.
We had fun. I think it's funny you mentioned I was an actor and I was like, am I an actor? I was like, oh yeah, I do plays, but like, in some ways as the PA guy, you're an actor, right? You're playing, I don't see myself as, serious Jack Buck or whatever, the voice of the Yankees, whatever. So I'm acting like the guy that's running the show, but it was always fun when my favorite moments were when something happens in the game and then you're reacting to it, like a batter that's taken too long to go up and you're like, oh dude, next time he comes up, let's play the Jeopardy theme to let him know. And then like somebody plays a graphic with it. And then it's like, you see it like playing in the game and you start seeing the face of the fans who get it or whatever. Or when you just play a random song, but you pick up on some kid started doing a mad dance and you, the director, is like, yo, run that back. Or like, I know what we planned, but like, keep it on that kid. This is fun. And then like, and then maybe I say something like, well, it's a dance off now or whatever. Like, favorite moments that you work so hard to prepare to have everything set so that you're not having to think too hard about doing the regular stuff. So that then those moments can occur when you're like, hey, whoa, this is happening in real time. Like there's a squirrel on the field. What music will we play? What camera on it? Like let's go. You know, like those are great moments in live, live in TV, live sports, all of it. It's super cool.
And like I said too, it's something about noticing those things and being on, not for us in the booth, not being bored, and to see these things develop and to create something out of nothing, basically creating a moment for all those people that are in the stands to enjoy it. And sometimes the players even would dig in what we would do.
Yeah. That was my favorite, was when you would almost get like a cap tip from an opposing team. Like they noticed one time there was, this is after you left, but it's a perfect example and you would have loved it. There was a guy played for another team. I can't remember the team. Winston-Salem kept changing their name. So it may have been one of a Winston-Salem guy. And he would walk up to right before he stepped in, he would do, and I almost need to like stand up to give it to you. He would do like a little, and he was kind of like a bigger dude too. Like certain dudes are like lean and can make that look athletic, but it just looked like he was kind of like air humping. You know what I mean? So he steps in, and again, the beauty is like you get these guys for 4 or 5 days in a row. So maybe day one, we're just like, wait, does he do that every time, or is he just like stretching? He's like, no, that's his thing every time. So like game 2, we start playing Hips Don't Lie when he walks up, right? And it's like, and he gets it. Like I think maybe he even like smiles, whatever. Then he homers while we're playing Hips Don't Lie. He goes around the bases, and right before he steps on home, he does the little thing like at us, and I'm like, I mean, he owned us. Like he wins that moment, but like we feel like we win because it's like, and again, not everyone in the crowd picked up on it, but some did, and those are the ones being like, "This is hilarious."
Yeah, they'd be like, "You see what that guy just did?" Yeah, that's awesome.
And I think we even got him a case of beer and left it at their clubhouse to like let him know, like, yes, we were messing with you, but like you won, like you hit the homer, and then you gave it back to us, and it's like, well done.
Exactly, man.
That's what minor league baseball is about to me. Anyway, it truly was. There was a article in the newspaper that got written when I took over as PA that was talking about how I used to go to a bunch of games and just have fun. I absolutely went to 8 or 10 games a year, and I don't knock the Bulls. They, they're like they're almost a major league franchise, right?
Right. Yeah.
But that's again what I sort of migrate to the Carolina Mudcats, where like if you go with 2 friends, you can buy your ticket somewhere. It's not Friday or Saturdays get busy, but like if it's during the week, you can probably make sure you sit somewhere where you got space.
Right.
And you can like yell at a player who's doing something like shaking his hips, and he's going to hear you. And like you may get in his head, he may taunt you back when he hits a home run.
Right.
So like, I love that, whether I was working in minor league baseball or not. That was always my jam, is how like real and earthy minor league baseball was.
Yeah, because it's cool because you could literally mix it up with the guys, and like you said, it's like you're in it with them, and it's a cool experience for people. And I urge everybody to keep go to these minor league games and support the minor league players on their way up or on their way down or whatever. But
let me ask you. I know you're a New Yorker by trade. That's not a Southern accent you're rocking there. But you spent a lot of time in North Carolina and Atlanta, some obviously, because I'm sure you've said on this podcast. But you didn't just work for the Mudcats for a long time. You helped build all the stuff that the Canes still do, and you worked with them sometimes. I think was part of a great team there.
13 years,
won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, man.
But so. That I used to be anti. There's a big right now Major League Baseball to Raleigh push, and the group, the grassroots group behind it, has done a great job because they have great stats where like you kind of ignore it, but then they'll show these graphics of like we are kind of the biggest Major League Baseball desert because there's nothing between Washington and Atlanta, and there's a lot of people in like Charlotte, Raleigh, Greensboro, now even South Carolina, so Greenville, whatever.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, Raleigh's not that big. You're like, well, dude, Wake County. People forget that Cary, North Carolina is bigger than any city in West Virginia, bigger than any city in Mississippi, bigger than any city in South Carolina, partly because Charleston's like an island and only so many people can fit on there.
Right.
If you add Raleigh and Cary, forget Durham and Chapel Hill. If you add Raleigh and Cary, you're already like well over 1 million people. And then Wake County, the county Raleigh is in, has more people than the county that Charlotte is in. And so it's like there truly are a bunch of people. But I used to be anti-MLB because I so much love minor league baseball, and the Bulls might survive, but it would mess up the whole ecosystem. Like Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Wilson, Fayetteville. I don't see them all keeping teams. Maybe now that they've moved, the Mudcats are already moved half an hour more away.
Yeah.
It was already, probably 30, 45 minutes away. They've been staying. But I just worried that it would shatter the North Carolina minor league ecosystem, which is so rich. Especially you expect it in like Florida, Texas, and California. But North Carolina, I think, has one of the most, partly because we didn't have Major League Baseball. At one point, we had 10 legit minor league teams, not the wooden bat or the short season ones, like legitimate single A, double A, or triple A between Charlotte, Asheville, Kinston used to have a team. I mean, Asheville's got like a great track record. Whatever. I'm talking too much.
No.
But now I'm almost kind of coming around because I'm kind of admitting that Raleigh does need to start acting like a big city. And the more that the Canes, it's like, dude, all you got to do is win and people here will come out. The Canes have been sold out for like 5 years in a row now.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, the Canes are incredible. But this MLB push, man, I'm really all for it. Aren't they building a stadium, or they're planning to, for soccer?
They tried. They kind of bluffed a little bit. They kind of fronted when they thought they were going to get an MLS team before Tepper came to Charlotte and just laid out billions and just kind of stole the MLS. Like, we had the stronger grassroots pool, but all of a sudden he was like, he had the more money. Like, he paid to get to the front of the line in MLS relegation, or what? Not relegation, expansion.
Right.
And then the other thing, that this grassroots in Raleigh existed for a while for baseball. But the big thing that changed it, and people were like, well, maybe, was Tom Dundon buying the Hurricanes, and not only being like a pretty darn good owner from the looks of it, also being willing to flash his billions and saying, yeah, we want to get behind baseball too. That's when it becomes a reality, when you got a billionaire that's like saying those things.
Not starting from scratch with baseball. Baseball's been here for a long, long time.
Ryan Foos is with MLB Raleigh, a grassroots effort working to bring an MLB team to the Triangle.
We started this never saying we're in group, nor being the ones that would find said ownership group. It was mostly just to amplify the voice of baseball lovers within this area.
As the Canes' success has continued, so has that hope.
But I do, as much as I think I've moved into camp, I would like Major League Baseball in Raleigh. There's pros and cons to everything, and one of the cons is I think it will disrupt the minor league baseball ecosystem, and I think that ultimately it'll be a little bit of a loss, but overall, I think if we can get a Major League Baseball team, let's do it,
Yeah, because wasn't that like in the original battle? The reason why Mudcats went to Zebulon in the first place was because didn't the Durham Bulls have some kind of restriction on the
yeah, I won't get this exactly right. And if somebody from Capital Broadcasting who owns the Bulls, who I love you guys, work with you guys on many different things.
Yeah.
You guys hit me up all the time to ask if you can use pictures of my son, so I allow it. So if I get every detail wrong, but I don't think it was a minor league rule. I think somebody actually, and I think it was this predated Capital Broadcasting owning the team, so it wouldn't even be them. But yes,
right.
Somebody, as I understood it, maybe they got. I've gone back. Actually, I feel like I've heard it different ways, and so now I don't know which one it is. Either there was a rule in minor league baseball, or somebody were looking to protect their, fiefdom with the Bulls, got the state legislature maybe to make a rule that it had to be a certain distance. So as the story goes, whatever the reason was, there was a rule that they could not have a team within 36 or 38 miles of another team that included the Durham Bulls. So Steve Bryant, who bought the Carolina Mudcats, another great story there. I always heard that he won it in a poker game.
That might be true. Knowing him,
I know. He's the type of guy when you hear it, you're like, they say he bought it for like $250,000, but like that could have just been the pot,
right,
like,
exactly.
Somebody had to match his $250. It was the Mudcats, and he put down that full house. It was like, I'm walking out here with a baseball team. Because he assumed he would be able to set up shop in Raleigh. That was his plan. Like, great, I got a team. Raleigh's, IBM's moved in here. It's late '80s. We're on the come up. I'm going to put it in Raleigh. And then somebody was like, oh, no. So he went and measured whatever the tape measure distance was on that rule. And when it hit the inch that was outside of the rule, he went and saw what land am I standing on. And it was the Privet's farm. Right. And he went to the front door. He's like, hey, do you own this? He's like, I want to buy this and put a stadium here, because that was just
tobacco field. Yeah.
It's not a true story. It's a good minor league baseball story.
Oh, it's a great freaking story indeed, man. And I hope it's true because it's so good.
I mean, I do know that. I mean, Will Privet, who we worked with.
Yeah,
right?
I love Will. Shout out to Will.
And, I mean, his family name is one of those where, like, if you drive around Zebulon, you'll be on a Privet Road, or there'll be a Privet store. Like the Privet's long history there, and he's a Zebulon lover without being like. I hate people who think their town should just be a museum and nothing should change. Whatever it's like, you got to love your town and want it to grow, and find the special places. We'll talk more about that when we talk the Rialto, but. Yeah, he definitely tells the part that's true about Steve basically being like, into the tape measure, here's what I can build, whose land is this? And it happened to be his dad's, farm. Unfortunately, they had some farmland to spare. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, and so now do you think if that rule still exists, that would be a problem if the major leagues, or they just come in and take over?
That probably wouldn't be a rule as much as it would be a
buyout or something.
Just like a natural you're not going to want to compete. You're not going to want to be too close to compete with it. You know what I mean? Right. It does get interesting for the Bulls, and it does put capital in a interesting situation. They've never come out and say we don't want it. It does feel a little bit like the Bulls are maybe the one minor league franchise that could succeed. Oh, that's another thing those major league, the Raleigh MLB guys will do. They'll be like, look, here's 8 other examples in the United States where a AAA team is like 30 miles from a major league team, and they're both doing great,
Right, yeah.
It obviously seems like it would make more sense if you could get the Raleigh team, have the Bulls be their AAA affiliate, and then
that would be awesome then, yeah.
Facilities, and you don't have to travel guys when they're doing rehab stints and stuff. But they've brought that up. They're aware that people are worried about what it might do to the Bulls, and they're like, no, look, right here, Seattle's got a team, and over here across the sound there's a AAA team, and it works fine. And so I for a while used to say, and it looks like they're getting creative and thinking outside the box with this. I swear I said this before they were doing they did the Field of Dreams game and the 4th of July game, or maybe it was one of the Fort Bragg game. They built a whole baseball stadium just to play one game, right?
Yeah.
I used to say the Rays, who are the Durham Bulls affiliate, and again, Durham Bulls almost have more of a brand recognition than the Rays, right?
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
The Rays, who struggle with attendance, should have been playing one home series every year at the Bulls Stadium.
That would have been huge.
You put in some extra amenities, and you're still only going to be able to get it like max 12 or 14 or 15,000. That's better when you're announcing 12,000 in your 25,000 seat stadium, and it's really only 6,000. It would be a legit 12 or 13 or however much you can build to get it in there. I think they've done it for a state Carolina game. They got maybe 12,000 in there, but I always thought that would be a cool, exchange, and try and win over, like you said, so many North Carolina fans. If you're a big baseball fan, almost all the people in North Carolina, Braves your team. If not the Braves, maybe the Orioles, because growing up, we used to get Redskins, Orioles TV down here.
Right.
But then bringing the Rays to the Bulls to play a home series every year would maybe like give fans a reason to be Tampa fans, right? Those are the players that come through your hometown. So I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, we used to do that with the Hurricanes. We would have games over there in Charlotte, where the Checkers play, just to, give those fans. And, there's been things like that. But, yeah, I think that's a great idea if, to do something like that. But if the MLB comes to Raleigh, man, that would be huge. And even with, because
you have to come back down.
I would love to,
baby.
Dude, let's do it, man. We'll get the band back together, bro.
All right, jokes aside, if there are ever jobs open, I do know folks over at the Canes now. Actually, I'm not saying this to brag. I'm saying this because it's a cool story. My buddy, who I grew up with and went to high school here, where obviously the Carolina Hurricanes didn't exist. He's a huge NC State fan. He's just a big sports fan in general. And then as soon as the Canes got here, he and his dad, everybody says that the first year or 2 years the Canes actually played in Greensboro because they were building what's now the Lenovo Center. And so people would take a bus from Raleigh to games, and I swear Brian and his dad were like some of the first people going.
Wow.
And Brian is now the CEO of the Canes. Now most of his stuff is
that's awesome.
He's not making the trades. They have a GM or whatever.
Right.
But it's super cool to have a Raleigh guy who grew up as an attorney and he's worked in politics, so he knows all the right players when you need to get things built and
right.
And so he's mostly in charge of the development, in and around the stadium to build sort of the Hurricanes footprint. And I think he's the lead guy on Tom Dundon's team in looking into Major League Baseball. He's always got sort of the official word on that.
What is the latest on Major League Baseball in Raleigh?
There's been a lot of press about it, a lot of news. It's hard to know exactly what to do until you know this is coming in 4 years or in a year and a half. Tom's been open about the fact that he would like to own a Major League Baseball team. He would like that team to be based here in Raleigh.
So it's just super cool to have seen, a friend who grew up in Raleigh and then this sport that, again, we never would have dreamed we'd have a professional team in. And now it's like, it is cool. There's something cool about being a one sport professional town of like, the relationship is like super tight, and especially we've been lucky enough to win a Stanley Cup, and now lucky enough to have a homegrown coach. Who's successful. Like it's really something that Raleigh people have grabbed onto, and I love thinking that there's like now kids who are out of college making more money than I am, living in RTP, working in tech. They're 29 years old, and they don't remember a world where the Canes didn't exist.
Right?
It's the same as a kid who grew up in Boston. And the Bruins, you know what I mean? Like, I know it's not. In my head, as much as I love the Canes, it's not quite the same. I have a world of sports that existed without the Carolina Hurricanes, but it's cool thinking about a kid who grew up in Raleigh that can afford season tickets now, and it's like, the Canes are like our team. We've had them my whole life,
Yeah.
That's a cool thing.
Almost 30 years, I think, with the Canes, something like that. Like
all of which is to say, I got it in. If we get a baseball team, or if you just see a Canes job open that you want, hit me up.
Let's do it. I might hit you up on that. I'm trying to get back to North Carolina, man.
Bring it. The pollen's still good right now, but the last month of weather's been pretty nice.
Right on, brother. I want to get back down there.
There's a brand new team in minor league baseball. That's right, out with the Carolina Mudcats and in with the Wilson Warbirds.
Now, with the Wilson team, the Warbirds, how you feeling about them? Do you got some gear? Are you rocking it? Are you going to?
No, it's a little tough. People are always disappointed when a team moves. I understand it. I don't want to get into the deep economics of what's changing in minor league baseball and Major League Baseball is basically taking over minor league baseball. It's almost like when you think about private equity taking something over. The private equity of Major League Baseball took over minor league baseball. And there's some good and some bad. Like they are upgrading facilities. Like there's some players at the lower end who've never been treated the way they should, and so like that's coming up. But ultimately, like to renovate it, as opposed to like building a new stadium is a question. I like it in the fact that it's just as much as I think the Mudcats would have benefited from the same growth. Like the area around them is just exploding right now. Like Raleigh is getting pretty full until we build some more tall buildings. And so living in Wendell, Zebulon, or even, there are people that live now in Wilson because you can buy a bigger plot of land or a 4-bedroom house at a price that, average Joes could still afford. By that, I mean myself too. I couldn't, I live in Raleigh, because we bought in 2020 with the best interest rates, in the world. And my wife makes a lot more money than I do. But people will live, in the same way that people do in other metropolitan areas of like, I'd rather have a house and land that my dogs can run on and drive back and forth to my job an hour every day. Or for a lot of people now, it's only 3 days a week that they're driving in because they can do remote. So like, and living an hour from Raleigh is like, oh, great. If I'm going to a show or a game, driving an hour doesn't seem that big a deal. We'll go for the day. We'll get dinner.
Right, yeah.
So I do think that's part of Wilson is one of those cities that's set to boom a little bit if they, invest a little bit in their downtown. So I think that's what this is. My biggest beef. So some people were upset at the move. You understand that, but I kind of get it, because I know the lay of the land. Some people say they should have kept the Mudcats, but they do own the rights to the Mudcats. But I do think like if you're moving cities, it's like your one chance to rebrand and sell more gear. I think maybe they got to get permission from the Brewers or whatever. I think they'll have some Mudcats throwbacks. Which would be cool.
Like a throwback night. Yeah, that'd be cool.
The one thing I didn't like, Fayetteville should be like the Warbirds because it's like more of a military town.
Yeah, that makes
Wilson
sense.
does have everything in Eastern North Carolina. You can find a military connection. I'm not trying to poo-poo that. But there's this place in Wilson that like Wilson's become famous for called Whirligig Park. There's this dude there's a long story and some rumors about exactly why he first started it. But it was sort of like it was just this artist that started making these whirligigs on his own property. And now it's become a huge part and deal of Wilson. And like, what are you looking for when you rename these days minor league team? You're looking for a unique name that like nobody else has. So you own it, great if you can get alliteration, like a BB, whatever, the first letter of the city is the first letter of the mascot. And something that's like emblematic of your area. And like Wilson Whirligigs was literally right there.
That would have been
how they didn't do it. You know what I mean?
And that's such a great minor league baseball name. Like, dude,
yes. I mean, you can refer to them as the Whirlies, for short, but like Whirligigs, and it just it gives you how to do the theme of your stadium. Like, take the same, you have a Whirligig Park right there at Wilson, and just like put a little mini Whirligig Park, the playground, everything. Your foul poles, make them Whirligig. I mean, you probably can't do that in minor league baseball, but whatever. Whirligigs is so perfect, and I don't know how they dropped the ball on that one. So that's my one beat. But I do. It's a lot of the same stat. Not a lot. There's some of the same blood that runs through the Mudcats. John Packer, the field guy.
Oh, he's over there. Oh, good.
Aaron Bayless. So I guarantee you, anything that you made that doesn't have Mudcat specific logo, he's putting it in the laptop and he's taking it to Wilson with him.
Nice.
Good people. David Lawrence, who you may not have known, but he came on to the Mudcats later in my career, and it's sort of he took over after Joe Kramer and Eric left. I think there's a Brewers guy and David are kind of like the two head people. So there's there's some good folks still with the team. But yeah, it's I wish them luck, but I don't understand how they didn't go Whirligigs.
They should have went Whirligigs. I'm with you on that, man. And they missed a freaking golden opportunity. They should have.
You can have a Whirligig beer. I mean, hopefully they've got enough feedback that minor leagues. You do your alternate team and alternate logo night. Right. Hopefully they'll do a throwback Mudcats, and then at some point you got to become the Whirligigs for
do something with the Whirligigs.
Yeah, and I mean it's a giveaway. Every 5-year-old would like little Whirligigs.
Yeah, man, it's
I don't even know if I can define what a Whirligig is, right? But you just get that image in your head of like something painted, like sort of 60s looking, and
like
they all look a little bit different, but it's like go look up Whirligig Park and be like, this should have been your minor league baseball team.
Beautiful, serene, powerful, silent but mighty.
That's crazy. I always liked Wilson. I remember we went there. They had like a baseball museum there, and then in one of the older like stadiums, and then
they do have baseball history.
Yeah.
Yep. Dick's, is it Dick's Hot Dogs?
Dick's Hot Dogs, like the legendary Dick's Hot Dogs.
Yep.
We interviewed those guys when I was working for the team.
Oh yeah.
Good time.
We have a joke because people from North Carolina's, as you probably know, has got a bunch of different accents, especially going from like you got the Appalachian dudes to the coast. You got people on like the Outer Banks, like the Sound Siders, who like almost you don't even know what you're like. They messing with me, They almost like somewhere between like pirates and Canadians. I don't know exactly what the mix is there, but then you got that real. It's almost like I'm not saying this. I promise I'm not saying this as anything like gender or sexual orientation related, but I don't know a better way to describe it than almost like a high pitch, almost like a feminine, even the dudes. And I'm not saying that they're feminine themselves. I'm saying the accent.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, I'm going up to Wilson. And so like it's that accent that puts a T in Wilson. So Wilson is saying like, oh yeah, I mean we're going to see the baseball team, the new team up in Wilson. It's and so the joke has become, there's Manio, which is Murphy. Manio is on the coast, but you almost say Manio. It's spelled Mateo, but the T is almost silent. It's like Manio, and like the T from Manio moved over to Wilson. So that's a bit of local humor there for you. Like, oh, where'd the T and Wilson come from? Like, I'll give them Manio. They weren't using it, so
they were all different. Like you said, different accents. Just like in New York, like Long Island talks different than Brooklyn and all that. But it's definitely Raleigh kind of has more of a softer like Southern accent. It's like like it's there, but it's not like in like. Then you go out to like was it Winston-Salem or someplace like that, and they got a little bit more of this, a little bit more of the twang.
A little bit of the foghorn, leghorn too. Like, I'll say the team was playing beautiful. Get a day to go see the ball game, boys. A little bit of that, almost Georgia. Yeah, there's play. the foghorn leghorn. Yeah, it's some different stuff.
Yeah, because you're born and raised in Raleigh, and you have a very small like Southern accent. It's not like
yeah, but my parents settled here just a couple years before I was born, so I definitely have some. It's also funny. I mean, you say that, and also you spent some time down here, so it didn't stand out as much as like among my friends, or especially like even people I know who aren't Southern. Nobody thinks I talk like country, but then I remember the first time either living in New York or just being somewhere where you're around people like, get a load of this hayseed. And you're like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I am not that. Like, you should hear my friends. Like, this is ridiculous.
It was the same thing when I went down there. As soon as I talk,
like, oh, Mr. New York. Oh, yeah. You're like, dude, what are you, like, I'm not even heavy. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even know I had an accent until I moved down there. That's great.
It's all relative, yeah.
Yeah, man. But you definitely are a staple of the Raleigh scene, and I just feel like you're always in the know and you know what's going on down there, and it's a great city. I love Raleigh, and now you recently kind of took over or part owner of the Rialto Theater, legendary Rialto Theater.
After temporarily closing last summer following the previous owner's retirement, the Rialto is set to welcome back crowds of people at some point this summer. It's an opportunity that still doesn't feel real for Hayes Permar.
I am, honored to be continuing the legacy that others have created.
He's part of a group that's now taken ownership of the historic Rialto Theater.
Tell the people who watching this that might not know what the Rialto is or the history, a little bit of, what the Rialto is, and then how you came to be a part of it all.
Yeah, so the Rialto Theater, the building was built in like 1936. It was a grocery store for a couple of years, which is kind of like a weird beginning. And I also think it's crucial. There's a lot of theaters that were built around these same times, and they all kind of look pretty similarly, and they're built into a neighborhood like ours is. But almost all of them have a balcony, which often case, I won't say this is 100% of the time, oftentimes that was for segregation. They wanted Black people's money to come see the shows, but they didn't want to have to stand next to them.
Wow,
right?
yeah.
So in the South, but ours does not have a balcony, and I can only think it's because it got retrofitted as a theater. It was originally not built as a theater; it was built as a grocery store. So for some reason, the people who built, and one thing that's cool is the guy who built it, his daughter still owns the building. She's 85 years old, but the building's basically only been handed down one generation so far.
Wow, that's crazy.
1942, it reopened as the Colony Theater was the name. And you could see, it's really cool. You could see an ad in the News and Observer, the Raleigh News and Observer, of like grand opening tonight. The governor was there. The mayor was there. You could see a little water fountain. The whole floor is carpeted. You can see the water fountain. And under the water fountain, there's like a little semicircle that's like terrazzo, stone, like not carpeted because it would get wet.
Right.
And what's cool is when we took it over and like dug up layers of floor, we found that same terrazzo.
Oh, that's
we
awesome.
Kept it, even though it looked super weird and out of place in our floor now. But it's cool to be able to see a picture in the newspaper from 1942 and be like, that's that right there.
That's crazy.
So that night it opened as a theater and showed a movie. But what's really cool, from its beginning, it has always had a huge screen, one single screen, and a stage. And so, while we don't have archives like we do of things today, where everything is picture and video, you could see pictures of people going to movies and people watching live shows there on the stage, like bands playing and stuff. So the history of the theater has always been kind of a multi-use variety programming place, and then also a gathering place. I would have. So let me get through the history. So it was that sort of multi-use theater, movies and music and it was called the Colony till about 1980. Apparently in the 70s, with the recession and the movie industry wasn't doing as great, they started playing, less, let's see, slightly seedier movies later at night. Have you seen Boogie Nights? Some of those theaters?
Yeah.
While they were still maybe playing, good stuff during the day, like late at night, you could go there.
And that's where they made the real money, probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when some new owners came in the early 80s, they're like, we need to change up the reputation of the Colony. And true to form, like I've had. This is a running theme. People will just walk in or knock on the door and want to come in, and they'll be like, I'm working on construction on something down the road, and I just have great memories of coming to this place. and one of them would be like, my dad would bring me to the Kung Fu marathons that I think were going around the same time as the seedy ones. And my mom would always be like, well, he better be home by 9 o'clock. Cause you better not be seeing any of those movies. And he's like, I didn't even know what you were talking about. She's like, but I know now. So they renamed it to the Rialto in the 80s and got into more like art house, independent pictures, maybe still some of the blockbusters, but art house independent pictures were also starting to sell better. And then in the late 80s, they had a really cool, amazing run of music. Like Jane's Addiction played there, and Iggy Pop, Arlo Guthrie, Bonnie Raitt, like a 19-year-old Alison Krauss, Tori Amos on like her first tour. Edie Brickell and New Bohemians played there. They were like booked, and then they got booked on Saturday Night Live, and it would happen to be like the same week they played the Rialto Theater.
Wow,
Titanic played there, like early 90s.
Yeah.
So it's had this amazing run that I was a little too young, and then also a big local scene too. A bunch of the local bands that, if I named them, you might not know them, but they were cool. And you can even see these old videos of like just mobs of people.
That's cool, man.
So even though at that time I was growing up in the neighborhood and I would go to movies there with my parents. I was the youngest child, and I truly don't remember having babysitters because I had older sisters who at a certain point could just watch me. And then by the time I was like 9 or 10 and my sisters were off doing other stuff, my parents were like, we don't want to pay for a babysitter. We'll just walk in with us, get pizza, and go to the Rialto. And I used to say, and I was proud of this, I got quoted in the News and Observer. I was like 9 or 10 years old. I was like, it's probably going to be a confusing movie. It's going to be in subtitles, but I'm probably going to see some boobs. And like, so I remember this Rialto, like going with my parents, not really understanding what was happening, trying to keep up with subtitles, probably falling asleep. But at some point, a nipple slipped, or there was one good sex scene, and it was like, whoa, what's going on here? And then, we wouldn't talk about it on the way home. Again, my parents were like phoning it in by the time I came along. They're like, yeah, just come on.
It's just a couple of boobs. Who cares?
So I just remember going there and doing, different stuff. And so I missed the music era in terms of being a teenager or 20-year-old who would have like appreciated and gone to these shows. But it had this mystique of a place that could also be music, right? Then in the 90s, when like Pulp Fiction and all these other like Miramax and independent, those were like independent at the time. When those became the best-selling movies, the Rialto all of a sudden was like printing money, and they went all movies. They could make a pretty good living just doing all movies. And I think one of the partners that was big into the music, he rolled off, and the guy that ran the Rialto also ran a couple of the movie places. So for like 25 years or so, 30 years, it was mostly just movies. And then, about 3 years ago, it was announced that the guy was retiring and he was putting it up for sale. And what's crazy is like owning a theater is something I never like dreamed of or even thought of. Like the Rialto to me just existed, and I don't even know who ran it. It just like kept going. It was right. It was just it'd been there. And, the program had changed a little bit. Like mostly I hadn't changed. They had the best popcorn. They were one of the theaters that sold beer way before anybody else was selling beer, and that just made it cool. But the instant it was like the Rialto's going for sale, I was like, I think maybe that's what I think I'm supposed to do that. You know what I mean? I know it sounds cheesy. I've never been, to say you're called to something. That I feel like that's reserved for ministers who, God is like chimed in or whatever. Right. But the closest thing I ever felt to be like, I think this is it. Like, I have no reason to think that I can. I don't know movies. I don't know the business of any of this stuff. I don't even really know how to run a business, but I think I can. And I like the day that I met with the owner and I signed a non-disclosure agreement to get some info about it or whatever. And I happened to have a lunch scheduled like a good friend who also is like basically retired. His kids are almost out of college and he's got a decent amount of money and he lives in the neighborhood. And I was like, he would be the first person that I would have to ask to like raise, because, again, I have an idea, but I have no money to do this. But I sat and said to him, I was like, I'm thinking about buying the Rialto, even though I don't have any money. And that guy, it was like he had heard the same voice I did. He was like, Hayes, I think that's exactly what you need to do. And it's like, yeah, I'll help you raise the money. And it's like, and so every person I asked sort of echoed that same feeling I thought I had in myself, where it's like, it's and this is true with a lot of things. And I think I definitely have done this, held myself back by thinking what I'm not good at or whatever. But at the same time, I've jumped into situations where I didn't know what I was doing and remember feeling like I have no idea what I'm doing. And then 6 months later, you're like, oh, I know what all these buttons do with the radio.
Right.
How it works. It's like, so I had some experience in jumping in, not knowing what I'm doing and figuring it out as I go. And then having that sense of relief, like, oh my God, remember when I started? And sometimes you had to lie because somebody was hiring you.
Right.
Yeah. Like, I know how to do these
till you make it. Yeah.
With these guys, I didn't have to lie. They knew that I was coming in with no experience, but I think they understood. The thing I understood the most was the neighborhood and the people and like what it meant to people, right? And there are a couple things that happened at the Rialto. We can talk more about this. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, which is not unique to the Rialto. A lot of people know that and have seen it. But the Rialto is one of the places, and I've heard this from other people coming from other places, who has kept a very consistent high-level show, meaning all the people are in props. They do all these callbacks.
Throw the rice up, yeah.
They put a lot of effort into it. And so people are like, oh my God, are you going to keep Rocky Horror? And I'm like, that's one of the things that I'm like, the reason I'm the person to take it over is because I understand of course you're going to. Like,
yeah, you grew up with it.
The number of people that talk about it. Forget the amount of people it brings in and whatever money it might bring. Like you don't understand the Rialto if you don't understand that Rocky Horror has to run here. I'm going to let you ask another question, but I know I've talked for a long time. Let me say one other thing that was important and I realized makes a connection. When we worked together, you left just a little bit before the like you said, the Mudcats went to the Braves, and then not only did they change affiliations with the Brewers, they were sold to the Brewers. Like we started, they were one of the, and this has happened more and more. Major league teams are buying up their minor league teams. We talked about this earlier. So Steve Bryant was like one of the dudes, he's not a random guy. He's got his own business, but like, it's not like he's into sports. It's not like as a big business. It's just kind of a fun project for him that he always owned it. Those people were very rare in minor league baseball anymore. And I remember hearing late, I heard about the sale before it was announced, but it was a little bit late in the game. And I remember thinking, sitting there, man, should I think about buying the Mudcats? Like, I don't know, it would have cost a couple $1 million, and I wouldn't have even known what it looked like. And I know that Wake County owns a stadium, but when you start thinking about like, I'm never going to own, an MLS team or all of our teams that we're going to have are already at a higher level in value than anything I could own. A minor league team, I have no interest in owning a minor league team in Wilson or whatever, but I'm like, at the time I was doing a lot of other sports things too, sports media, so sports was more in my head.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, I'm not saying I could have, but I'm like, I would have liked to have had some time to think about, could I have gone to some of these same people and say, hey, do we have enough money to buy a minor league team? And like, I think I could, I feel like I knew more about that and knew people like you that we could have put in place to at least get started.
Right. Yeah.
But then it was sold, and the experience of having thought, you know what? I wish I had been more on the ball. And I'm not saying I would have or could have done it, but I wish I had had the opportunity to explore it more. That spurred me to action. When the Rialto happened, it was like, if you think this is the right thing, man, you better move, because other people are going to have the same idea. And whether or not we can get into who would be the best person, but I'm like, other people are going to have some ideas about it. And so missing out on that opportunity, whether or not it was actual potential or not, but in my head it was. So the next time something like that came up, that you can't think about it until you know it's going to, like, I never think about it on the Rialto until you hear it's for sale. Well, you better think quick. And I did, and it made a big difference. I think I'm pretty sure based on conversations I was having with the current owner and the building owner, it was sort of this triangle, because we have to agree to a sale of all the stuff in the theater and all the projectors that I now own, and a long-term lease, because I'm not doing one without the other. So it was all this like triangle. And I would hear it. I still hear people tell me, they're like, yeah, we were real close to buying the Rialto, but I'm glad you did. And I'd say thanks. And in my head, I'm like, no, you weren't. Nobody was close. Like, I boxed everybody out.
Right.
And I know, and to be fair, I probably overpaid for it. There's probably some business people that would be like, he's paying what? But I'm like, I didn't care. I don't think I grossly overpaid for it, but I do think I cleared the deck with both an offer and a plan of what I could do, which is like kind of what we've done. And so, yeah, I took over the Rialto with, I went around and got about 8 or 9 people, most of them that live in the neighborhood, that are like the guy I described. They're from here. They understand the importance. They had kids. If I saw you buy like a 1950s car to refurbish, and I know you weren't even a car guy, I'm like, I'm coming to you. You've got too much money. You're bored. Like, I think more fulfillment out of $50,000 in the Rialto, then you tinker with your car. You're not a car guy. Come with me, and that pitch worked.
No, I think you're the perfect guy to own a theater like the Rialto. I just think, from what I know of you, again, I know you. We work together, but I don't know you. But from what I know of you, you feel like you're the perfect guy for this type of a place to be the front man of it, the face of it. Also, you're in the know of the Raleigh scene, and I just think your whole vibe and everything just kind of carries itself through it. So I feel like it's a good match for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, that's the one thing I was like, I don't know how the movie business works. I don't know how the theater business works, but two things. One, I know the town and specifically the area, and I feel like I've got, my finger on the pulse of what most people in Raleigh are thinking. And two, and it's part of answer one, I know so many people in Raleigh that everything I don't know, there's probably somebody in my phone that I could call to get started, right?
Right.
I don't know how to book music, but or the best part, when I took over, I had people calling me like, "Hayes, I haven't talked to you for 5 years, but I'm in music promotion in Alabama. The guy you got to talk to is this guy. He's in Raleigh. He just moved back from California." And I'm like, he's like, "I'm from middle school." I'm like, "Oh yeah." It's like, call that guy. I mean, there was just a ton of that, just starting with, who do you know that does the thing, or call a friend. And another big thing was we did have, as much as I'd say I had no idea what I was doing, I've done a lot of learning on the fly, but we did have a plan. And I was pretty proud when I went back and looked at my original pitch, and it talks about the mix of movie, music, and comedy. And a couple years in, we were doing movie, music, and comedy,
Right.
But I also made clear to the arts community, the theater community, the people, and specifically people I know, hey, we got plans, we got ideas we're going to do, but we're going to be multi-use, and I need you to bring me things.
Right. Yeah.
So I think knowing, and there's a little bit of, when you do that, there's a little danger of a lot of people have made a movie, and I'm not knocking it. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yeah.
You have to put a little bit of a filter on, there's a lot of people that want to play their movie. But it's a me knowing, if I get 10 inquiries and I sit and don't respond to any of them, and then Nick Neptune is a guy you don't know, but he's in Raleigh. He's just a guy that I trust. That's in the scene that puts events together. He all of a sudden hits up and is like, "Hey, that third guy that hit you up is a buddy of mine, and I've seen his film. It's great." I'm like, "All right, we're starting with this guy."
Right.
Let's go. And you're going to help put together the group. But putting that word out and being able to say, "Hey, you know me. I don't even know what art you do, but bring it my way." And so then somebody calls "Hey, I'm in a tap dance group. We're looking for a place to put on a show. We think we can sell 200 tickets, $20, whatever." I'm like, "Well, let's do it."
Yeah.
So that's been fun too. And we don't get everyone right. Sometimes something gets through the filter. They're like, "Okay, maybe that wasn't a perfect fit for us." But
Right.
and sometimes you do things for different reasons. Like the little old lady across. I'm making this up, but
Right.
If certain people that have done certain things for the Rialto, including they've just spent a lot of time there and they want their grandson to show their movie, it's we might take a chance on it,
Right. I think it's inspiring, dude, that you had this kind of calling to buy the Rialto, and you did what you had to do. Like you said, you seized the moment, you seized the opportunity. You didn't let it slip like you might have thought you did with the Mudcats. And I think it's definitely inspiring for anyone who ever has an idea to act on it, to do it, to go forward with it. Because, here you were, this guy, you said, didn't know much about movies or the entertainment side of things, but you bought a theater, and now it's becoming successful. They wrote about it in the New York Times and the 36 Hours in Raleigh, things to do and see. A lot of huge things. A lot of people are happy that you have revitalized this theater because it's legendary, and it's a part of the Raleigh since the 30s and all that. So when you took it over, did you have to do much renovations, and what was that like, and what did you add or I know you mentioned the floor, which I think is super cool to keep that.
Yeah.
But
Great
what else?
question.
Yeah.
The inside of the theater, where you sit, looks almost exactly the same, and it's getting a little ratty, but there's enough love for the place that people don't mind. The two things that we definitely had to do were, because we were adding music, we needed a music PA. It's got a movie sound system, which is a little bit different. And you probably know this better than I do, but that. I feel like that'll be a never-ending process. I'll always be trying to upgrade the PA, right?
Yeah, sure.
But one thing that's funny there, and you'll get this too, of you have to bring these sound guys who run the shows. You're trying to get to know them, and but some of them, you need people that know the tech language but can talk to non-tech people too,
Right.
So like trying to find the people that can do that with you. So adding the PA was like one thing, and that's still a process. The other thing is I wanted to like send some signal that it's a new era, even though we're going to be the same Rialto. So we came up with a new branding, like logo and stuff like that, and we used that. We got a designer to sort of redesign the lobby, just kind of like spiffy it up a little bit. It was homely and comfy, and that was part of the thrill of the Rialto, and the inside still has that, but just raised it just a little bit, a nicer floor instead of like an old beat, dirt floor. We put a nice floor on it. We sort of, and it kind of had some mismatch. It had like a wooden bar on one side and then sort of a modern design but throwback look concession counter for the popcorn on the other side. We decided to make a bar that sort of matched the like black and silver of the concession side, so it looked cool, solidified, and then took the logo and our colors to sort of build the walls and stuff around it. And then a big thing was, and my designer, perfect example, like I don't know how to pick a designer. So who do I go with? A gay guy that used to work at Camp Seagull, the summer camp with me, right? Like I went to Camp Seagull and you're a great sailor and you're a great dude. Like, oh, now you're gay. You got to be a great designer, right? Jokes aside, he is great. And but it starts with like, I know him and like truly you see him in the paper redesigning the grill room or whatever for some country club. And you're like, okay, I know he's a designer. I see he's getting enough work that he's like legit. He's my friend. I want to be able to, because I can talk to my friends and say, man, I don't know if I can afford that. Like I'll get bullied by like some designer I don't know. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Or I have to be able to say, hey man, I know you think this is perfect, but I just don't like this. Can we check? You know what I mean? And
right.
I get like bullied by So he did an amazing job. And one of the things, my big thing was, because again, I don't know design. I'm like, at the end of the day, and we painted the exterior. That was the most noticeable change, because way more people drive past us. We got a very, very busy street, a great marquee. It's like if you had somebody say, give me a collage of 8 images of Raleigh, North Carolina, 9 times out of 10, the Rialto is going to end up there. You're going to have like the state capitol,
right? Yeah,
our grill sign, the Hurricanes, thing, something Wolfpack, the bell tower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like most people, if you give them 8 pictures, the Rialto is going to be one of them. That marquee. But I just said, you tell me what a good design is. I just don't want anybody to be. Everybody who drives by better turn their head and say, "Oh, that got painted." Like I don't want to spend $10,000 painting a building that nobody knows got painted. Make it ugly, but at least people are like, "Oh, that changed." You know what I mean?
Right.
Don't make it ugly. This is a classic like little story. There's a new world in like press, and you'll recognize this. Back in the day, when you were a minor league baseball team, you try and get every TV station and every newspaper to come to your either media day or opening day to like hype you up. That's like how you spread the word. Now there's social media. You can talk some directly to the fans. And if you're doing a good job, you build up those social media accounts and that works. But there's now this like almost middle ground of influencers. And I know that people throw that term around, and it's not like you're not trying to get caught by the people that have $3 billion, but there's like 8 or 10 people in Raleigh. Some of them are just trying to promote the real estate business, but they have some sort of version of the handle like, this is Raleigh or Experience Raleigh or Raleigh World or like Raleigh, whatever, Raleigh Magazine. It's a magazine, but basically operates as a, social media influence or whatever. Right. I got annoyed because we put down a base paint of blue and everybody started taking pictures and be like, what do you think of the new Rialto? And they're like, we're not even done yet. Like, And so it's like, people are like, I don't know, too blue. You're like, because they're all trying to, in their world, it's like they're trying to be the first to post it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm learning to appreciate that world of like they are helpful in hyping up your events and getting the word out. So I'm not trying to like drag them, but then just being like, hey guys, like let us finish painting it. And after I got done painting, and it sort of it matched our branding and had sort of an old school style on it. Some people still might hate it, but overall it got a good reception and it achieved my goal of everyone knows it got painted. Even the blue got mentioned in the New York Times. So, they know after a splashy blue paint job, it's now it's like that's what we wanted.
I have the article the Rialto Theater began when new owners took over the single screen art house that first opened in 1942. After the upgrades and a splashy new cornflower blue facade, the theater again screens movies, independent films, cult classics, documentaries, but also added regular concerts that have ranged from bluegrass, jazz, country, and synth groups to a Neil Diamond cover band. That's good stuff, dude. That's in the New York Times.
What's crazy is apparently that's very secretive. Like the Visit Raleigh people, everybody tries to pitch to get in, get that article written about you or whatever. And they don't tell you when they're coming. They don't want you to like influence or whatever. Well, I didn't really know this. The lady hit me up about a month ago just because she was trying to just like get a fact right. The 1942 thing. She's like, I see some places 36. I see some places 42. And I was like, building in 36. Theater opened in 42, like I told you.
Right, yeah.
So I knew it was coming. But I didn't really tell anybody because I figured other people were getting asked and they knew too. And now I come to realize like nobody knew. And I knew she didn't want to be influenced, but I tried to mention one restaurant, and she was like, I would do that, but they were in my article 15 years ago when I wrote about it. She's like, I'm not. I was like, all good. And then I was like, if you need a photographer, because same thing. I'm like, you want a picture of the marquee, baby. And she's like, if they want a photographer, they may be in touch, or they'll just send one. That dude must have been there. I could tell by the price of gas in the back of the picture and the posters that are on the thing that he came like he was one of the last things to happen. That article must have been in place because that gas price has been changing almost every day. So I can tell you what day it was. And it was like a day or two before the article
I'm looking at the picture now. Yeah.
It's
like
$3.79.
Yeah.
It's $3.99 now at that same gas station. So yeah.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, man. No, that's awesome. And now you've owned this theater. It's been reopened for almost a year now, or
about 3 years. Like 25 was our first 100% full years, open 12 months. We the very end of 23, I would almost say like December 23 was the first month we were like wide open doing movies and music. And it was like really cool. Christmas was an easy time for us to like sell what we were doing because you could do Christmas concerts that people eat up, Christmas movies that people eat up. It's easier to pick throwback movies at Christmas than any other time, right? In September, there's no obvious thing to play. At Christmas, you play Home Alone and Elf, and they keep coming. You know what I mean? And then we shut down a little bit in 2024 to renovate the lobby, and then we were open about 10 months of 2024, and then all of 2025, and now 26. So, like, this will be our fourth Christmas coming up, but we've been open about 36 total months, Dude. One thing I do, and I won't even make you ask, I'll just brag and tell you. One thing, because without getting too deep into the movie business, it's hard for us to do new movies when they come out, partly because we have one screen, and partly just because the rules of playing movies, you have to play them for a certain length of time. Sometimes it's indefinite. Like if a movie's doing well and you sign up for it, they can make you hold it for another week. Whereas if you've got 8 screens, it's no big deal. You can just bump it to another screen or drop some other movie that's not doing well that you were maybe plan on doing. We can't do that. If we sign up to do something for 2 full weeks or indefinitely, then we can't do any of those concerts or anything else. And all that other stuff is part of what's making this work business wise, right? My dream would be to be able to, like, if a summer was coming where Barbie was dropping and we knew it was going to be a hit, that we could clear our deck in July, where we are a little bit slower,
right?
And be a place that shows it, and we're working towards it. And there's some independent movies, like there's a Billy Preston movie documentary that just came out. We played that last night because it's an independent theater. They don't have the same rules on how long you got to show it,
right?
So we show a lot of throwback. They call them repertory. That's the fancy word for old movies you've like seen before. And so one of the things that we work hard to try and do is like, what is the reason to come see a movie with us that you could just stream for free on your couch right now, right? And it's everything from the smell of the popcorn, that the Chick-fil-A attitude of like just trying to be freaking nice to people when they come in, because so many times movie theaters are like teenagers or overstaffed people that like aren't having a good time,
Right,
so, like,
exactly.
Simple stuff like that. But then at Christmas is when we really nail it. Like during Elf, we have like a in the theater snowball fight when they're having the snowball fight.
Oh, that's cool.
The thing we started the first year is actually, I think, my wife's idea to blow snow off the marquee, like when people walk out. And it seems simple, and you'd be like, oh yeah, that seems like a cool idea. It's like a level 1 to 10. It's like a level 12 good idea. It changes people's feelings. Like even if it's 60 degrees and they know there's no way it's snowing, but they just had their heart warmed by It's a Wonderful Life. And we have these glass doors and you're stepping into our lobby before you walk out. You're stepping out of the theater into the lobby, 10 yards from the door, and you see snow coming down and your heart believes like it's Christmas and it's snowing for like 2 seconds. And obviously little kids go nuts.
That's awesome.
you're always looking for in today's world, the Instagram moment, so everybody's taking pictures with the snow, with the marquee sign of the movie they just saw. So our goal is to be able to do that, spread that to even more movies. You know what I mean? Or it's similar to what Rocky Horror does. It's like, what are you doing that would make people come see this same stupid movie over and over again? And it's got to be an experience.
It's the experience. That's the separation between watching it at home or on your phone or whatever versus watching it in the theater is the experience. Even if it's something like I see you got Apocalypse Now, like to see that on the big screen is a huge difference than seeing it on your TV at home or something like that. So I think that is a huge thing, especially for real movie buffs or old school guys and girls who really want to take
There's
in
really some of that. We play if we play Casablanca, it'll be a lot of older folks, but then there will be younger folks who are like, oh, I'm a huge movie buff and I never thought I would see this on a screen.
In the theater.
Cool. And we introduce the movie beforehand. I kind of learned that from either the previous ownership, and we have this film club where a lady comes and she gives basically like a college level thesis about watch for the way the men wear their pants to signify whether or not they're spies, like little stuff like that.
Wow,
I can't get that deep because I'm not a film buff, but I started to realize, yes, it's awesome when people are sharing their knowledge and love of the movie. That's great, but the human touch is what makes it feel real. So even if you just get down there at the beginning and say, thanks for coming. if there's a North Carolina connection to a film, I always try and point that out, which you can often find between like an actor or film somewhere or whatever, just this person was, or if I happen to know something about the film, I'll say it, or we'll do a trivia question, that just adds a little tiny bit that nobody would get on Google and be like, I loved when they introduced the movie. But what they don't know is like they enjoy the movie more because they feel like they were welcomed,
Exactly. I think that's pretty cool. And you're like, and as the owner being that hands-on where you're coming out introducing, yourself, it's you as the front man of this, of the Rialto, that's a huge thing, man. I mean, how are people responding to you? Are you getting like pictures in the lobby and people wanting to be around you? Like,
a lot of people are very grateful. And I don't think the Rialto was like quite on the verge of like collapse. Like if I didn't buy it, it wasn't one day away from being turned into condos. It's not like the Goonies, it's not quite that. But it's happening enough around Raleigh that I'm like, hey, if you fear that and that's what caused you to come buy tickets, go ahead and fear that, It's basically it's just affirmed that, that same look that I got from that same guy the first time when he was like, you're the right person to do it. People say thank you all the time. And one thing I try and do is acknowledge the team of like, hey, all the investors, I am definitely the quarterback, right? But like they're like the offensive lineman. Nobody ever really knows their name, but like they're probably doing more. They definitely they put up legit money. I joke about them having money to spare, but like it's real money to put up, man. That's not like I wish I had that much money to invest in a friend. So some of them would be like a couple friends would get together and form a group, which is really special to see, especially like the bonds between certain friends that I don't even know that well, but because I'm still in touch with certain guys, and they were like, hey, you remember Hayes? Like, come on, throw in on this. Right. But then a lot of people from the neighborhood that come and look me in the eye and say thanks. And then like anything, we've created a great staff, which includes some people that were in the old regime, which they found their way to me. And, so it's cool to have those type of people. Sometimes I was like, I need you to teach me how to like fix this popcorn machine when it goes down. And then new staff have sort of brought into our ideas. And then there's a lady named Jade, who this was kind of cool too. When we talk about, don't wait. Like if you feel called to do something, don't be held back by the nose, like move with momentum, start going. And you'll have to do some figuring out as you do along. Right. I knew when I jumped, by the time I left, I had a lot of support from the money dudes. There's a little bit of a safety net in that. This sounds terrible to say, but like I knew if I gave them my all and bombed, these people wouldn't hate me. There might be some tough conversations. One or two of them might like express anger at me, whatever. But like they believed in me. They knew me. I didn't promise them anything that I couldn't do. I told them what I would do. And I believed that I had confidence, that it would. Right, like, we might go into a recession and things might get real tight for me. People might not want to come to certain stuff. I don't know. But there was a safety net of knowing I'm not conning anybody and I'm not getting into business with a stranger who's going to accuse me or, whatever. Right. Yeah. So I knew I had a lot of support. I knew I was going to have the community support as soon as like the word was out that I got the keys. Like I said, I got people calling me, offering help. I didn't know how I was going to quite figure out business stuff. You know, I was like, I can hire a bookkeeper, I can hire, you know, and I didn't quite know how am I going to like find another person that can do the same thing, put their face in front of the audience, like introduce. And Jade, this is like, you know, divine intervention, like truly you can say God, fate, luck, or whatever. Yeah. I believed enough to take a leap that I would figure out the other stuff, like somebody would be looking out for me. And Jade is this lady, her husband is an attorney who happened to be in the firm of the attorney that was helping me handle the transaction. And listen to this coincidence. When I first started with them, they were like over past NC State on Hillsborough Street. And it had already been in the works, but I didn't know it. Somebody hooked me up with them. They're like, you need to get this guy's your attorney, kind of because he's a bulldog and I'm kind of a wimp. It's like, you need somebody that's going to stand up for you. And
right.
The time that we were working on the Rialto transaction, their office moved to like a block away from the Rialto. It's like I started with an attorney not knowing that they was going to be in the neighborhood. And then like now they're in the neighborhood. A bunch of the attorneys are my friends, either from Raleigh.
Wow. Yeah.
So Jade's husband is like the young attorney in that firm. So she kind of knew that this was happening. She liked the arts, but was kind of not stuck in. She had moved to Raleigh and needed a job, and she's a great business mind. She's got a business degree from Harvard. She was working a corporate job, making a bunch of money, but like not loving it. And so she was like, I think felt called kind of the same way I do to like. And so my attorney was like, you need to meet the dude in my firm and his wife Jade, whatever. And Jade has been like, she's at this point, she's probably more important to the Rialto than I am. Like I'll take credit for like. It needed the cheerleader, the aspect, that everything that I'm doing, and like I obviously am still kind of contributing a lot, but like the fact that somebody would come in that also lives in this neighborhood, so appreciates what I mean.
Yeah, right.
That she's a female and she's younger, so it's like we have different generational perspectives. She's got a way better business sense than I do, but also. She's not like perfect. Like we both have to like, push each other a little bit. And she knows that like sometimes you got to stay till 3 a.m. and maybe clean up vomit at a toilet and maybe introduce a movie. And it's like to find all of this in one person who then just sort of like gets everything we're doing and has made it kind of her vision as much as mine has just been incredible. So I always have to give her an amazing shout out. And like looking back, it's like, how did you make the leap? Not having Jade, now knowing like what the hell would things have happened? Like, would I have figured it out? And then probably, but it wouldn't have been as easy. It wouldn't have been as fun. It wouldn't have been as good. I know that much. She so I've got a great partner in her, and then support from the whole team and our whole staff, and a great community. So
that's freaking awesome. Yeah, shout out to Jade. And it's those type of things, like you said, when things just start to fall into place and it feels like it was meant to be, like it was God helping you out or a higher power, just guiding you throughout this whole process, man. So this has been a huge thing. And do you book all the shows? I see you got like Pat McGee band and all these bands.
Pretty much, as I talked about, a buddy called me and said, you need to use, do you remember Zach Johnson from middle school? I was like, yeah, I remember Zach. Like, he'd been living out in California after pandemic. He decided to come back this way, and Zach is a promoter. And we could have long conversations, and I would say this like in front of Zach, like he's a promoter. He's in the music business and he understands business. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And partly I sympathize with him. If you're nice and you're like, oh, I'll put that 100 on my tab versus yours, whatever. If you do that every time, people will let you every time. You know what I mean? And so you got to be like, nope, here's what we're doing. I got to get my cut all the way up. You know what I mean? It sounds dirty because you want to be like, oh, we're on this for the art. But Zach is just somebody who he's a good person, but he understands it's a business, right?
It's all about the business at the end. Yeah.
But the one thing that I'll always and I'm still grateful for him. He brings a lot of shows here. We every now and then, I'm trying to get more people to bring shows. He'd rather be the only person bringing shows, but he out of the gate lined up more shows and brought them in and took the risk on his head. So like I couldn't really lose money, especially on early shows, in a way that nobody else could have done. Because I'm a learn by doer, and we were working with some people to like tell us how it works running shows. And I needed some information so I don't look like a complete dumbass. But ultimately, I don't mind that the first person comes in and is like, you guys don't know what you're doing. I'm like, you're right, and I hope you got a good attitude because we're going to learn from you. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
And comedians are great about that. They come in and are like, oh, yeah, we don't want to be up at the stage. We want to be down on the floor for this, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a learn by doer, and like Zach has brought 95% of the shows we've done, and it's been great because and we've learned that also helped us learn like, oh, I'd love to do this type of music, but it's not selling well right now. So either we need to figure out a different way to do it or put it to the side for now and just bring the shows that are doing well for us. So he brings most of the shows. There's a couple others. And now we have gotten into producing in-house some. We'll have some artists that hit us up and we think we have a better idea of like what we need in terms of money and number of tickets to maybe like that would make sense for us. You know, like not every show has to be a sellout or a moneymaker, but we have to have sort of a minimum, right? We have to string together enough. But if you come to us and you're like, I promise I can sell X number of tickets at X dollar amount, we're like, all right, we'll take a chance. Let's go. You know,
that's cool.
So shout out Zach. He definitely got us going and keeps us going. And we've learned some things and now do some different things. One thing that's super cool, I do want to say, I was real clear coming in, or tried to be very clear, that we don't think we're coming in being like, we're doing music now. Step aside, Lincoln Theater. Step aside, Courthouse. It's a new game in town. Step aside, Good Nights Comedy Club. We got comedians now, right?
Right.
I've always said, and I truly believe this, I'm sure this sounds like a politician answer, but the Rialto is like a unique entity in and of itself, right?
Right.
Are there a show or a comedian that we got that if we didn't, maybe somebody else in Raleigh would have gotten? And do they maybe like resent that? Or do they at first look at us like, is this going to be a problem for me? Maybe. But I've always tried to be like, dude, I'm a fan of Raleigh comedy. I'm a fan of the music scene. And I try to put the word I've never heard from Good Nights that like, if Good Nights see somebody that doesn't fit in their room that fits in our room and you want to do Good Nights presents so-and-so at the Rialto, let's talk. Let's make it work. Right. I want to be a collaborator. So we just recently had our first show like that where Lincoln Theater has a great relationship with American Aquarium, one of the local rooted bands who's had a bigger, more success. And they just recently had a concert with them, but the lead singer, BJ Barham, is doing like a little solo acoustic tour that he wanted to be like more sit down. And so I think they would normally have gone to like Fletcher Hall, like a city-owned place. It's like a little stuffier. But now it's like they call us and they're like, hey, could we put that in your room? And it's Lincoln Theater Presents. We figure out the money. And it's like, great. That's cool. What I want, to be seen as like a collaborator, not a competitor. I want to like, all of us raise the music and the comedy and the art scene. So that's been cool. And so that show felt important for that reason, more than just the show being good of like, okay, we're being seen as collaborators and people who work with the community, which is always what I've been about, you know.
That's huge, man. I love that. And what about like, so out here in New York, I'm involved in the comedy scene. What if there was like a New York comes to Raleigh? Would you be interested in something like that?
Yeah, definitely. We had Gary Goldman's not a New York guy, but he's a Northeast guy. I know he went to Boston.
Yeah,
College.
I think he's a Boston guy. Yeah.
He had a show down here. It was great. But yeah, New York night down here. Yes, I'd be down for it.
Dude, I might be in touch with you later about that because
especially now. I mean, we just got to make sure we put up flyers in Cary where all
where they all live.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite running jokes. But no, truly, it is crazy, Raleigh. This is almost 10 years old now where I say this. We're like, in 2015 in Raleigh, I still believed if I walked into a restaurant and there were 75 plus people, there was no chance I wouldn't know at least like two tables. Right, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care who or where it is. If I walk in, even in like Cary, I'm like, I went to school with different people. Like I've been here, like I walk in, and it was I was walking in to meet somebody like Yard House in North Hills. And I'm walking around to see what table he's at. And I'm looking at other people. And half the times I'm like, oh, that's so-and-so. No, that's not him. He's just wears the same shirt that my friend, you know. And I walk around the whole place, 100 people in there. I'm like, I don't know anybody in here. This is crazy, you know? Yeah. And it was a real, we always knew that it was like growing, but, you know.
Right, but now
if you get in an Uber, which I don't a lot in Raleigh, but I do sometimes, and they're like, where are you from? And I'm like, Raleigh. And they're like, yeah, but where are you from originally? I'm like, I'm from here. And they're like, stop the car. I'm like, what? You know, I'm like, yeah, dude, yeah, there's like tons of us. We all hang out together. I know it's not just Cary that the New Yorkers living in now. It's all over. So
yeah, so all right, that would be awesome. Maybe we could work something out. That'd be freaking fantastic. Yeah. But Hayes, man, this has been awesome catching up with you, man. The Rialto Theater, everybody go check it out. What was it? The Rialto.com. I'll put all the information in the description below, so everybody check it out, all the links and all that stuff. And where can people find you and follow you? And
the Rialto.com, the.Rialto on Instagram. Those are the best places. And then if you're on our page, therialto.com, you can sign up for our newsletter. We try and have fun with it, make it at least fun to read, even if you aren't buying tickets.
Very cool. Yeah. Hayes Permar, You're the man. We appreciate you, brother, and we'll see you soon. And we're going to bring New York to Raleigh. We're going to do this.
Thanks so much for having me, dude. It's an honor and great to catch up with you, man. I've always enjoyed cutting it up with you, and this feels like old times. Thanks for having me.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, buddy. All right.